It is that time of the night where I yell, "Get off my lawn!" It's a Dave 101.
It's time for Dave 101.
On the door, it's Dave. Dave, D-A-V-E. Dave's not here. He's the killer. Yeah, he's the killer. He's a mess.
Pardon me if I get a little emotional tonight, because twice a year I make a plea to our audience to get help. Get help when you need help. And the reason why I do this twice a year is to honor my nephew. His name was Bryce, where today would have been his 34th birthday if he didn't run into a devil called fentanyl back in 2018 when he passed away on July 17th. I do this twice a year because my heart is still heavy 5 years later, or nearly 5 years later. And for many of you out there who have lost loved ones, whether to tragedy, whether to cancer, whether to drugs and alcohol, we all share the same pain in going through what we go through. Now, on this show, we talk a lot about the strange, the weird, and the obtuse, topics that are normally fringe in the way of the way life goes on a daily basis. But every now and again, I have to bring things into reality because, once again, just like many of you, my heart is heavy today. I was 15 years old when my nephew was born, and my sister, who's 10 years older than me, gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. And I found out during break time while I was in high school. And I couldn't concentrate the rest of the day. First thing Uncle Dave does after school is I hopped on the school bus, or not on the school bus, on the city bus, and I rode into town with my buddy because I had to go get my nephew a little pair of Nike shoes. And I remember them clearly. They were Velcro strapped with 2 Velcro straps. They were rainbow in color. They were mainly white, but the soles were red, yellow, green, orange, and blue. And I couldn't wait for him to grow into them. I couldn't wait to teach him how to skate. I was going to be, and I tried my hardest to be, the best uncle ever. My nephew didn't have the best of lives because my sister had her own problems, and so did his father. Just like many families, this one was torn up by alcohol, by drugs. And my nephew, unfortunately, never had the childhood that many should at that age. His parents weren't there for him, but between grandpa and grandma and his uncle, which is me, we tried really hard to give him a good life. But sometimes as people grow up, they get involved with the wrong crowd. They get involved with the wrong people. My nephew was known as a tough kid, even though he was only 5'10". He was known as a kid who really could take a lot of pain. Problem is, the wrong people took advantage of that. And eventually, it went from free dinners to free drugs. He was in rehab when he passed away. He needed a fix. He snuck out and decided to go get high one last time. And the one thing that I've learned about fentanyl on the street is that you could have a little baggie. I think that's what they're called. And you could share that baggie with someone. The one person will get the stuff that's good and gives you a high, whereas the other one takes that lethal overdose sniff, snort, or injection. My family wasn't lucky that day, and my nephew became a statistic. And that bothers me. It bothers me a lot because nobody in life should end up a statistic. And the one thing that I learned, because I was one of these idiots who, when I saw homeless people or I saw people struggling, I was one of these idiots who would say, "Get the hell out of here. Don't bug me, you bum. Go get a job." And I was kicking their souls back down, just like everybody else does on a daily basis. I didn't even think that those people had souls, that they had a mother and father who loved them, maybe out there. And if their parents were gone, maybe siblings or grandparents or uncles and aunts or friends that just want that one extra bit of time with them. My nephew, if you looked at him, you would never have sworn he was an addict. He was always very clean cut. He was always very much in shape. He was always lifting weights. He was always making sure he smelled good, he looked good. But his dark, dirty secret was fentanyl, the devil's drug. I want to remind people that this drug is a liar. It's a liar because it tells you it makes you feel good. It's going to make things better. It's going to make things okay. It's going to take you to places that you've never been before, and it's going to make things all right. But just like the devil, it lies every time. It gets people addicted. It gets people to die. I miss my nephew every day. 29 years old is way too young to die. And I remember at his funeral where I stood up and I spoke in front of him, a bunch of people. There was probably 300-400 people there. And I looked at a lot of the souls who were recovering, who came to support our family, who were in positions in rehab just like my nephew. Some were rich, some were poor, some came from university backgrounds, some came from construction backgrounds, some were educated, some were not. But the one thing they all had in common was addiction. And the one thing that I learned about addicts, whether they're on the street or whether they're living in your own home or apartment building or wherever, they have value. And we forget because we get so upset by someone hitting us up for some spare change or someone hitting us up for a free meal. We get so upset because we're so much better than them that we forget that they are human beings. And every human has value. My nephew forgot he had value. He forgot about the love. He forgot about anything because drugs make you selfish. They really do. You don't mean to. The addict doesn't mean to. But they make you very, very selfish. Where all you think about is you. Because deep down, that addiction, whether it's alcohol, whether it's cocaine, whether it's fentanyl, heroin, whatever it may be, it tells you deep down that I'm the only one who cares about you. Screw your family. Screw your friends. I'm the most important thing in your life. I will make sure that you're always feeling better. Fentanyl is a liar. It is a devil. And it creates horrific statistics. The drug dealers are killing their own supply or their own purchasers, their own clients, but they know there's always going to be more. So they don't care. The so-called friends that my nephew had, I'm pretty sure if you counted their body count, it's probably like a serial killer. Am I still mad? Hell yeah, I'm mad. I don't have my nephew. I grew up with him. And when you become an uncle at 15 years old and your best friend is a little baby, and then as you grow up, he grows up, you miss that love. You miss those stories. You miss everything. But the one message that I have for all of you out there is one of changing your way of thinking. Next time you see a homeless person, next time you have somebody coming up and asking you politely if you could spare change or help them buy a coffee or help them get something to eat, even if you can't afford it, acknowledge that person politely. Even if you choose not to help them, treat them like a human with respect. That is someone's brother, someone's sister, someone's niece, someone's nephew, someone's son, someone's daughter, someone's great-grandchild, someone's grandchild. That person deserves to be loved, just like you do. Just because you may have a job, drive a nice vehicle, you may have $5,000 in the bank, you may have $100,000 in the bank, you may have a buck. It doesn't make you better than someone living on the street, someone who has accidentally taken the wrong path because they were shown the wrong path in life. Oh, yes, we all have our demons. We all have our wrong way of thinking. But the way we can make it better is by improving ourselves. The way we can make it better is by remembering the ones who we've lost due to tragedy, due to drugs, due to alcohol, and try and make it better for the next person. Everybody deserves to be acknowledged. Everybody deserves to be accounted for. These lost souls that are on the streets, they don't want to be there. They would love to have a normal life, but the demons have taken over. And for some of them, it's already too late. Their next stop from the streets is into a body bag. And that sucks. It's a harsh reality that addicts live every single day. For my nephew, he wanted to live. He wanted to get better. He wanted to be someone successful, where people looked at him in a positive way rather than a negative way of what harm he had caused in his mind in the past. You know what? That harm that he felt he caused, it was nothing compared to having to have him die on us. I'm still angry over it. And if you've lost someone due to drugs or alcohol, you'll know the feeling that I have too. We need more compassion because remember, whether it's addicts, whether it's people suffering from depression, anxiety, whatever it may be, sometimes a simple hello or a simple, hey, I'm thinking about you, or hey, I love you, can be the biggest boost of confidence that anybody can have for that day. You don't know what other people are going through, neither do I. But the key is, if you can do me a favor and my family a favor, as we live through being a statistic, next time you see someone who needs some help, just stop and say hello. Stop and say, you're worthy. You have value. Because in the end, we all have value. but we just have to have the decency as humanity to show it for others. I love you, Stu. See you in the next round. That's your Dave 101.